So, good morning, Aaron. Thanks for joining me. I'm delighted that you're going to be there at the one day summit in June. It felt so long,
My
um,
pleasure.
about 90 days ago, when I considered where it was going to be after the January the 28th summit. So, huge thanks for joining me. What was your feedback from January, and what's made you interested in the upcoming June event as well, Aaron?
Well, thank you, Brent. It's always a pleasure to join you when I can. Now, as far as the January event, which I thought was a brilliant start to the year, the thing about the January event, which I actually liked, was having so many people with their experiences development in the same room. I thought the presentations we had from Paul was great. And Tom was great. Nicholas Marsh was there. Nicole was there. I thought the panel that we did have, and looking at the new tech and the sourcing and looking at the technology behind site finding as well, which I thought was really, really useful. And so that's just a brief, quick overview of what I found from the January.
And going forward for June, as I say, there's a number of panels, which one's focused on construction deals. The likes of
Yes.
Tor Potest on that particular panel. You've got Ronald Fletcher Baker Solicitors as well, who'll be there on that particular panel. You've got Anna Harper. And in terms of the other panel, it's about scaling your development business, the likes of John Ray. You've got Bill Patel from iOccupy. So I know listeners may have struggled to hear us in the first few seconds. It looks like we're back on full signal strength again, which is great. And the day also, I should say, is sponsored by Home Experts. I haven't really given them enough thanks, to be fair. I'm sure over the next 38 days, there'll be more thanks to give Home Experts for being involved. They've really allowed me to go for a really nice room overlooking a river, yards away from Piano's new development. And one of the presentations is going to be by one of the leading architects, Granite Architects. And it was interesting, Aaron, yesterday, that when they did an interview with me, I was discussing who their key influences were in architectural style and architecture in general. And one of the key people is responsible now for creating the undershaft, which is going to be in comparison with the shard in terms of height. But in terms of who's of interest to you for the one-day event, who would you say that is, Aaron?
I think looking at the one day, I always enjoy Thor's presentations, and I think also having a bit of an update in terms of what's happened since, in terms of where Nicole is. I know we were looking at a lot about the crowdfunding and a lot in technology at that point in time. So coming back and looking at where everyone is, we're coming up to quarter three, and seeing exactly how we are for the next 6 months. We had a lot of uncertainty in January in regards to what Brexit was. What we didn't look at as a community was the general election, which no one actually saw. And we thought a lot of senior debt habits were going to be determined by the whole thing about Brexit, but we didn't actually see how the general election was going to affect people's outlook. And the other thing that's come on is, especially for the developers that are developing in London, I develop in Manchester. That's what I do. So I work with investor funds from London and invest in Manchester. And I was wondering how it is for people in the London market, because as predicted, we have seen a little bit of a slower growth. And not being on the ground in London, I just wonder how that's affecting people's strategies. Is it affecting the size of the units they're doing, or whether they're looking for more secure exits in terms of the developments that they're working on? So this will be something that I'll be very interested to know exactly how it is on the ground, because we get the ripple effect of the country a little bit later.
So, Aaron, you mentioned about developments in Manchester. Can you just expand on that a little bit more about what you're doing?
Okay, so what I do in Manchester is I work on mini sites, mainly looking at small offices and converting them into residential units. I do that in Manchester. I do that in Yorkshire as well. So, for example, there's a couple of developments that we're working on now, which are old print works into a set of apartments, and there are other office sites which are currently under offer, which again will be going into apartments. And we actually have some pre-orders such that the developments are already a bit pre-sold before we've even exchanged in some cases. So there's a lot of demand. And just a bit of a statistic, up here in Manchester, only 400 homes were built last year, and we have about 10,000 workers coming through over the next sort of couple of years. So there's definitely this massive contrast, and that's what we're in position here to take advantage of it. I know Anna's on the panel, has come through, and she's investing in this area as well, together with Stefan, and it's for good reason too.
Sure. What I found fascinating, Aaron, the other day was visiting Bill Patel's Tough Mudder event, as I describe it as. I just find it amazing. He thinks he's going to be finished by February next year, but that's what he's said. Is it quite a tough mudder for your developments, or are they much smoother, much softer, less work involved? Or as much work involved? Because for me, when I saw his 37-unit development, Bill Patel, and it's very different for me just copying and texting and putting on Eventbrite and different platforms, and then just being there was completely. I will visit John Ray's developments up in Birmingham. I think they're more of a finished product, possibly. But in terms of what you've got, are they at the beginning or middle or the end, and what size are we working on?
So we're looking at 23 is one, and another one's just shy in around the 40 region.
Okay.
So at the moment, where we are is we've done done works, we've done groundworks, and we're right in the middle of doing some of it. So probably in the stage in which you'll be able to come in and see is probably about August. There'll be enough for you to see in terms of the new and the old, because it's the reason why there's a bit of complication is that it's a combination of existing building which we're keeping and a new build which we're adding on. So it's got of sort of refurb. It's got an element of new build and all the different things that happen in there. And it's also an enclosed site, which means we've got neighbours to both sides, and we've also got neighbours at the back. So then we're dealing with other stuff like oversailing rights, right of way, and we're doing it's a bit of a complicated development. And then we've got sort of agreements to the other side, and there's a whole lot that comes into it. And to produce that on the square footage that we're working on, I think will be quite an interesting case study that I'll put to you, and it'll be good for you to be able to come and have a look at.
Yeah, sure. Let's catch up offline and discuss that, because for me it was fascinating to see Bill Patel's project. And I didn't see the second one, but I saw the first one, and for me that's. I was going to say it's a bit of a headache already, let alone looking at the second one. And I suppose that's why systems, and it's a lot more than just systems, are so important. It was just fascinating to spend time with Bill. So I'm definitely looking at more external interviews, because for me, it's good doing Zoom calls. They're great, but you don't get to see quite the same side as when you're on a development side. Aaron, I just want to say huge thanks for taking time out today. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, June the 10th.
You're welcome. I'll see you later, Brendan, and it'll be great to catch up.
Okay. Thanks, then. Bye for the moment.
Bye.
Aaron, thank you. Thank you.